Alright dudes and girls, here we go. Phase 4 of the gym edition of the 12-week plan. Starting out with some straight arm pull downs. This is going to isolate the lats. This is going to be more of a pre-exhaustion. So we're really just trying to isolate the lats, pre-exhaust them. So once you get into pull-ups, you're going to have to work harder. The lats are actually working more so than they normally do if you jump right into pull-ups. So that way you just get a little extra work and it makes the exercise a little bit more difficult. Moving on to some alternating presses. This is just focusing on one side then the next. It's very similar to a unilateral exercise, but this one you're just alternating it, so you're going from left or right into the next one. And then it's going immediately into the close grip to wide press. So you're just going to get a little bit more stretch on the outside of the chest, going right into the close grip, which is then focusing a little bit more on the inner fibers of the chest, kind of hitting both factors of the chest right there. Face pulls is going to be working a little bit more the upper back / rear deltoids and traps. It's an excellent compound exercise for the posterior delts, but also the trapezius as well. Right into the pendule rows. Great exercise to really focus on that upper back and lats. The good thing about this is you're not really wearing out your lower back by holding that weight throughout the whole duration. It drops to the floor, so that way that lower back can rest. Chest dips, one of our faves. It's great for that lower pec development, and also a little bit in the triceps and front delt as well. Pullovers. This is an awesome exercise for kind of almost an all-around upper body. You're going to get a lot of work in the lats, in the serratus anterior, in the chest, a little bit in the delts, and some in the abs as well, just to help stabilize you throughout the motion. Hanging leg raises. A great exercise to not necessarily target the lower abs, but to help put emphasis on them. What you really want to do is crunch those legs up all the way up, rotating the hips. That way you get the complete contraction in the abs and not just the hip flexors. And we're moving on to the band wood chops. This is going to really be working on the transverse abdominis. So you're going to want to get that good twist. Make sure those hips are really stable throughout the motion and really just feel that twist throughout the abdominals or throughout the waist, and make sure your hips aren't following you through the motion, relieving a lot of the tension. Getting this started off with squats on day 2. It's one of our favorite compound exercises, really one of our favorite exercises in general. Of course, it's going to be amazing for those legs. It's really the foundation of, and that's why we're getting started with squats on day 2. Moving on to walking lunges. Hate to love them, love to hate them, whatever you want to do, but they are damn good for those legs. It's really going to be working those quads, glutes, and a lot of the endurance in the cardiovascular system too, especially depending on how long you're actually performing them. And it's going to be supersetted right with the barbell hack squats. Again, really trying to target those quads and also a little bit in the glutes, and these ones are going to burn. Romanian deadlift, an excellent exercise for your hamstrings, another exercise which you'll find in any one of our leg day routines. Manual hamstring curls. If you haven't tried this exercise out, please do. You are really gonna feel it in those hamstrings, as you can most likely tell from my face. In fact, this whole phase is extremely difficult, so you're gonna kind of see that rage face in almost every shot that includes me in it, because it kicked my ass, as it hopefully does for you as well. If you feel it's too much, feel free to stay with either phase 2 or 3 until you feel like you're prepared to take it on. Seated calf raises. Enough said. Hell yeah, that was an exciting one. I hope you guys made it through it okay. Wipe the sweat off your brow. Okay, now we're moving straight on to Otis ups. Funny name, excellent exercise, and pairing that up with Russian twists to end day 2. Day 3. Let's see what we got. What's in store? Ooh, we got some shoulders. We're gonna do the seated barbell press. A great compound exercise for those delts. As you can see, we're just using the bench press because
we're doing it because we wanted to set our ass where most people's faces go, you know, to give them a little present later on. No, actually, it's someone using the shoulder press, so we had to kind of switch it up a little bit. Supersetting with the upright rows.
Yeah, good old face pulls. We include these quite a bit, and that's just because they are so good, and it's an excellent compound exercise for either upper back or rear delts. And we are supersetting it with a combination of movements here. It's going to be the front raise, lateral to rear, so really trying to hit all three heads of the deltoid in one exercise, and damn, that one hard.
Steering wheels. Just pretend you're escaping from the police. You're going 90 miles an hour.
And you do not know how to drive.
Exactly. And you basically,
like a madman.
Yeah, I'm driving like a 95-year-old man there with his foot on the pedal. Where am I?
Supersetting with the dumbbell lateral raise is really hitting that lateral head of the deltoid. One you want to focus on quite a bit because it doesn't really get a lot of secondary use in most major compound movements.
Rear shrugs. Your ass is your enemy in this one, so make sure and push those hips forward and able to get the full range of motion during the duration of the exercise.
And we're going on to the dumbbell external rotations. In the program it says cable external rotations, but either one works, so feel free if the cables aren't available, like it wasn't this day. We just grabbed a dumbbell and lay on the floor and do the exact same motion. Keep the elbow relatively tight to your side and just externally rotate and get a nice squeeze.
Here's another really exciting exercise, weighted planks. Throw that 45 on your back.
And hold. Hold! Mountain climbers, so this one's pretty exciting as well.
Just close those eyes and visualize.
But they do work really well for the abdominals, so pairing up the planks with the mountain climbers are an excellent pairing. Alright, day 4 is doing the close grip bench press. What you want to do is really focus on the squeeze at the top, extending all the way up. You're trying to contract the triceps as hard as you can on this one. It's a great compound exercise for the triceps, and pairing up with the weighted chin-ups, which is an excellent exercise, compound exercise for the biceps. And this one we're doing weighted, put a little bit more pressure and stress on those biceps as you pull up to the top position. The reason it's more in the biceps is because the hands, the palms are supinated, so you're getting a little bit more pull through the biceps rather than just the lats. We got the bilateral kickbacks here. So instead of unilateral kickbacks, it's just doing both at the same time, and it's just acting like a normal extension. You're extending all the way back and getting a good squeeze at the top.
Supersetting that with the plate pinch curls. Great grip strength exercise in addition to those forearms.
We got the skull crushers. One of our favorite exercises for the triceps. Can be hitting all three heads of the triceps. You can go really heavy on this as long as you just don't drop it down too far and hit the top of your head. And we're supersetting it with a barbell curl, and this is going to be a drop set, right, Hudson?
Yes, it is, and it is going to kick your ass because supersetting this with skull crushers is hard enough, but then what you're doing is you're just hitting it out, taking 10 pounds off, or however much weight you plan on using, and you just keep drop setting. You're going to drop set 3 times, and you're going to bust it out. Lightweight, but it feels heavy as hell at this point.
And you get a damn good pump.
Yeah, you do.
Alright, we got the seated unilateral finger curl. So this is really going to be focusing on the flexors of the forearm. What you want to really concentrate on is bringing that weight all the way to the ends of the fingers and then curling up to the top, getting a nice flex. And that is really going to get that full range of motion and get the full benefit of this exercise. You got to get those big forearms. You can't just build them by fapping. You got to build them by doing finger curls.
And we wrap that up with the wrist rollers. We had a DIY on that, but as you can see, we were just using the cable, which is an excellent alternative.
We got day 5. We're going to start off with deadlifts. Another one of our favorites, big compound movement. It's going to be a lot in the back, but it's also going to be a little push in the legs as well.
Supersetting that with the bench press. Obviously an amazing compound exercise for the chest. 2 great compound exercises supersetted together.
Moving on to the unilateral dumbbell row. This one's pretty straightforward. You're really focusing on that lat. Get a good stretch in the lat as you bring the dumbbell down, and get a good contraction as you bring it up to the top position. Get a pretty good tempo in this one, and supersetting it right into unilateral dumbbell press. So again, just really focusing on one side and then the next, making sure you don't have any kind of instability in either side, or even size differences, strength differences. So in this one, you can kind of key in on those and help fix it.
Hitting those pullovers once again for the second time this week. One of our favorite exercises. This exercise we really like because it just feels good.
Yeah, and it's a great mobility exercise too, because you're really getting that full range of motion, getting that good stretch in the joint. So that's always good to work on, getting that full range of motion, working on that stretch, and making sure you get that full mobility in the joint.
Supersetting that with flies.
Alright, on to pull-ups. This is to failure, so it's not weighted or anything. You really want to focus on just busting these out until you can't perform them anymore. Try to keep it as good as form as you can throughout the duration of the exercise, but since you're doing it till failure, as you notice during the end of this exercise, the form will slightly break, but as long as you keep it as strict as you can, you should be alright.
Can he go all the way? And you're going to go ahead and do the same thing with push-ups. You're just going to hit as many of those as you can. And as you can see, I'm pretty fast with my push-ups. Damn, look at that form. Oh man, fast too.
Yeah. You got the double crunch. Oh yeah. So what you want to do on this is pretty much balance on your hips, and you're going to be crunching in the top half of your body as you crunch in the lower half, so hence the name double crunch.
Oblique crunch. You know, that was a real question a lot of people had on our first 12-week program, was abs. So thanks a lot for that suggestion. Really, due to that fact, we made sure and added abs to most days of our new 12-week plan. It really helped to have our first 12-week plan because we were able to further develop this one and make it better based on suggestions such as that. All right, here we go. Last day of the 12-week program.
Yeah.
Started off with leg press. Now, a lot of times you'll see guys, they'll load up this weight and then they'll go ahead and they'll put their hands on their knees, basically to spot themselves. We'd recommend not doing that.
We got a superset. It's the dumbbell swings, you know, very similar to kettlebell swings. The gym that we use does not have kettlebells, so we just use a dumbbell. So feel free to use a kettlebell if you have it. If not, you can always use a dumbbell. Really working on hip strength, glute, hamstring, and yeah. Moving on to Bulgarian split squats, really trying to focus one leg at a time here. We're working on the quads, glutes, also a lot of balance and stability in the ankle joint too, because you're gonna have to be balancing yourself on one leg. And supersetted with the unilateral RDLs, really focusing on isolating the hamstring, but again, really focusing on the balance and stability in the ankle joint and also in the core and things, because it's really kind of hard as you go through the motion once you try it to balance yourself throughout this range of motion. So it's really good to build not only the strength but the balancing as well.
And both exercises supersetted there were, so we recommend those exercises, as Brandon was saying, for stability, because they're going to teach you it real fast. You're going to have no other choice, or else you're going to fall on your ass. Going and moving on to the seated Arnold press, and then right onto the single arm bent over lateral raise.
Yeah, so this one's going to focus on those rear delts, as the Arnold press is focusing on more of the anterior and lateral head of the deltoid as you press upwards. Just trying to get the all-around 3D look.
Got 3D printers? Well, you want 3D buff dudes too.
Yeah.
And you're going to get it by performing that exercise. Farmer squats. This one is not only tough, but we made the great executive decision to superset it with farmer's walks.
Farm day.
Exactly.
So we got the farmer's walks here. It's just gonna be a minute, so try to time yourself. If you don't want to time yourself, you can always just kind of try to give yourself like a lap, the amount of laps you're trying to take.
How do you feel? How the hell do you feel? Like a buff dude. Hell yeah.
All right, reverse upright rows. This can be a little bit of an awkward exercise because it's going to want to go ahead and hit you on the backside as you perform the exercise. So go ahead and just push those hips forward just a little bit as you perform that one.
And have it glide up. Really focus on bringing the elbows up first and get a good contraction in the traps and the rear delts as you bring that weight up. And then we're going to pair it up with the front raises with a plate. You want to get a fuller range of motion on on this one, bring it all the way up in almost the top of your head, and you're going to get a little bit more contraction in the traps while you perform it in that farther range of motion.
Following that up with a weighted crunch, go ahead and grab a weight you feel comfortable with and go ahead and just crunch it out.
Paired up with the lying leg raise with the hip thrust. So you're going to raise the legs up. It's going to be focusing on a little bit on the hip flexors as well as the lower abs. And as you thrust upwards, it's going to be crunching in the abdominals a little bit extra and get a little bit more contraction throughout those abs.
And having said that, guess what, dudes and girls? This exercise is the last one of our 12-week plan. Gym edition, we are all wrapped up. We hope those of you who followed us have had a good time watching these videos, following these plans. Please check out the link to have the playlist showing all the home and gym editions as well as our stretching and mobility episodes. This was a huge project for us, so you hope you enjoy it. The most ambitious thing we've ever done. And hey, we had a lot of fun doing it. Hope you did too. Stay buff.